Marisol Diaz had enrolled in the criminology program at St. Roch University because she believed crimes could be mapped like fever dreams, hot flashes of motive, cold stretches of concealment. Evidence, behavior, deviance. All of it fell into patterns if you stared long enough. She took comfort in pattern. So when the campus anarchists kept whispering about Glyph, an underground urban exploration cell that tagged forgotten infrastructure and live-streamed impossible spaces, Marisol assumed there would be pattern there too, if only the kind that self-declared outlaws leave behind when they romanticize danger. She wanted to study them, maybe write her senior thesis on the microeconomy of trespass. Next thing she knew, she was crouched in a shuttered subway maintenance room under 9th Street, wearing a borrowed respirator and waiting for the invitees to finish a ritual she did not yet understand. The leader introduced himself as Ruck. He spoke in a gravelly stage whisper, describing tonight's anabasis in mythological terms. Somewhere under the city, there was a service labyrinth built in the 1930s, abandoned in the 1960s, then entombed behind bureaucratic red tape. Glyph planned to prove the labyrinth existed, carve their tags deep inside it, and leave the recording on the dark net. "Go in, get the evidence, get out," Ruck summarized, sliding a battered map across an overturned crate. "Don't try to be heroes." Marisol felt the map's brittle paper between her fingers. The lines were thicker than subway diagrams, more like intestines curl-coiling over themselves. The strokes of red marker ended abruptly at what looked like a blank margin. Someone had written a single word there. Finis. A voice behind her muttered, "That margin is where reality breaks." She turned. The speaker was Harker, Glyph's tech liaison. He smiled as though they shared a private joke. "Stories say the engineers who built the maze couldn't finish the blueprints. Their pencils stopped like they hit an invisible wall," he explained. "City filed it under irregularity and sealed all mention." Marisol tried to catalog the rumor the way she cataloged witness statements. Who benefits from believing this? Who controls the narrative? But there was an electricity among the explorers, almost devotional. She worried any skepticism might mark her as an infiltrator. Ruck passed around miniature earbud radios, black as insect shells. "They'll keep us in contact," he said. "But there's another reason. Once you enter the maze, you're going to hear voices. They'll sound like external comms. They're not. Keep the buds in so you know which voices are real." Someone laughed, too loud. Ruck didn't. "I'm not joking. A handful of crews went down before us. None came back whole. Most never came back at all." Marisol's criminology muscles flexed. Survivors? Case files? But there was no time to interview. The group moved through a half-demolished wall into a service shaft that inhaled them like wind through a throat. She thought of pattern again. If she charted all disappearances in abandoned places, would the deaths cluster geometrically? Or was that her mind, already bending toward paranoia? They descended iron rungs slick with condensation. Her flashlight revealed an inscription scratched near the bottom rung. "What you count becomes you." She felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. At the tunnel floor, rusted gates jutted sideways, their locks broken by earlier trespassers. The air smelled metallic, like old pennies sucked dry. Ruck raised his hand, and Glyph turned headlamps to low. "We split into pairs," he said. 2-minute separation so GPS pings don't stack. Marisol's assigned partner was Wynne, a soft-voiced photojournalism dropout who carried 3 analog cameras around her neck. "I'm here for the light," Wynne told her, grinning. "City's negative space." Wynne clasped Marisol's arm. Consensual, careful. "Listen," she added. "Whatever else you hear tonight, hold on to my voice. I'll hold on to yours." They advanced down a brick corridor like a burnt artery. Pipes above them ticked. Their radios whispered the other teams checking in. 20 minutes later, the mapped corridor ended in a blank concrete face. No graffiti, no door. Ruck had warned them of false walls. Hit them where the sound hollows. Wynne knocked lightly, ear tilted. The third tap boomed unexpectedly cavernous. She pressed the same spot, and the panel yielded, swiveling inward. Beyond stretched a cylindrical shaft descending into darkness, lined with cold-rolled steel. A broken ladder clung to one curve. Marisol peeked over the lip. Direct vertical drop. No grappling gear, but near her boots lay a narrow ledge barely wider than a boot toe, spiraling downward like a snail shell. Wynne swung her camera to capture it. "Architectural heresy," she murmured. They started along the ledge, backs hugging steel. Below, nothingness inhaled their headlamp beams. After 20 feet, Marisol heard the first voice. No, thought. It did not enter her ears so much as surface behind them. "I never told Mom I pawned her wedding ring." Marisol froze. The confession did not belong to her, yet it rang with her own vocal timbre. Then came another, overlapping. "If I see another rusted bolt, I will scream." The voices were insistent, but disembodied. A chorus mixing dread with footnotes of remorse, replaying private monologues as though memory had become public address. She shivered. "Do you hear?" she began. Wynne nodded, pale. "They're not coming from the radio." Marisol breathed through it. She named each element like evidence: sound quality, intimate, content, confessional, source, unknown. She grounded herself in method. Eventually, the spiral emptied into a colossal rotunda. 8 archways radiated outward, numbered in flaked paint. In the center sat a plinth supporting a mechanical timer, an ancient subway clock. Its glass shattered so that the dials could spin freely on unseen wind. Wynne lifted her camera. 8 paths, she said. "Which?" Marisol studied the archways. Above each number was a second numeral, etched tiny, almost scabbed into the stone. They looked like exit codes on prison diagrams. She did quick arithmetic. Add the hidden digits, subtract the bold, arranged clockwise. The sequence formed a Fibonacci echo, 1 1 2 3 5 8 13 21, but truncated at 8. "Path 3, Marisol declared, coaxing certainty into her voice. Engineers were mathematicians. They entered archway 3. A long corridor slanted downward, walls of curved ceramic tile reflecting light in brittle shards. Voices followed, more urgent, as if competing with each other. "Left at the junction, water smells sweeter, left, left, left. Don't look in the canal, the bones aren't dry. If you taste metal, pick up speed." Some lines looped, others mutated. Marisol gripped criminological theory like a rosary. Locard's exchange principle. Every contact leaves a trace. If the voices were traces, then they had once belonged to physical bodies, explorers whose minds recorded final impressions into the structure itself. Wynne whispered, "Marisol, your hands." She looked down. Her fingertips bled where she'd scratched them against tile without noticing. Thin red streaks patterned the wall behind her, as though she had been writing unconsciously. Ruck's voice burst through the radio, distorted. "Check in, pair 3, Wynne answered. "Alive. What's your position?" "Rotunda. Half the arch is dead end. We lost Harker in 5. Static." Then a muffled scream that ended too suddenly. Wynne's chest heaved. "We should backtrack," but the corridor behind them was now a blind brick wall. Marisol tested it, solid. She refused to panic. She studied criminal incarceration tunnels in textbooks. She knew illusions were easier than demolition. They could have installed rotating panels. She cut off. Panels. The voices had mentioned metal tastes, signaling acceleration. She licked the air. Moisture tasted faintly of iron filings. Wynne tasted it too. So we're moving, she realized. The corridor was a concealed conveyor, translating sideways, replacing entrances. That explained the faint clicking below their boots. Marisol counted seconds between clicks, approximated speed, distance to prior position. Pattern reasserted itself. "We can predict the rotation window," she told Wynne. "At the next junction, we step off the belt." 56 clicks later, they leapt into an alcove just before the corridor's flesh slid away. Ahead lay a room like an abandoned ticket booth stadium. Rows of shattered glass cubicles, each with rusted microphones. The moment Marisol crossed the threshold, the voices crescendoed, channeled through those dead microphones, each cubicle replaying a single explorer's final diary entry. Cubicle A. Not alone anymore, something drags its nails across my heartbeats. Cubicle B. I will gouge out memory to stop replaying her face. Cubicle C. Stomach cramps, skip the last oxygen pocket, lungs fizzing. Wind clamped her palms over her ears, but the words crawled under skin. Her knees buckled, cameras clattered. Marisol hauled her upright, though her own balance wavered. The confession swarm was rewriting her thoughts, splicing old guilts into new lines. She remembered stealing a classmate's laptop freshman year. A lie. She had never done that. Yet she felt specific details. The sticker on the lid, the trembling afterward. The maize seed guilt, like mold spores, offered ready-made regrets to fill any emotional vacancy. A criminologist's trick. Disconfirm implausible memory by cross-examining sensory anchors. She asked herself, what was the classroom temperature that day? Where was I seated? The fabricated memory lacked anchor. She forced it out. She grabbed Wynn's face. Name the last legitimate photo you took right now. Wynn blinked. The shuttered ice factory. ISO 1600. Golden hour through a punched roof. See? Anchor. Marisol repeated anchor like a talisman until Wynn steadied. Beyond the cubicles was a service stairwell. The walls gleamed slick. Condensation dripped into metal troughs. Halfway down, they smelled seawater, though the city was inland. The voices softened now, cooing, cajoling. Take her camera. You deserve proof. She hoards images. Marisol hissed, not mine. She rapid blinked, separating alien desire from her own. The stairwell ended at an underground canal wider than any subway tunnel. Black water flowed sluggishly, carrying debris, soda cans, what looked like children's chalk, and something pale that resembled vertebrae. A single maintenance catwalk lined one side, but its railings were missing. Along the wall, stencil art flared under Wynn's flashlight. Silhouettes of rats gnawing a man-shaped void. In red spray paint, the body tells the city where to bleed. Wynn snapped a photo even as her breath trembled. The shutter echo ricocheted. Immediately came applause, multiple hands clapping unseen. The canal water rippled. Marisol's radio crackled, ruck again, faint. If any of you reach the canal, do not. Static devoured him. Voices lifted from the water this time, glutinous as algae. Join us, archivists. End the story clean, then more intimate. You know how this pivots. She pushes you, you drown. She keeps the camera, your name fades. Marisol palmed her pocket knife. She hated having that suggestion pre-installed in her brain. That was the maze's game. It seeded betrayal to survive, dividing explorers so none could map a full exit. She turned her criminologist's lens on the structure. Why design a labyrinth that records thoughts? Control, surveillance. Perhaps a Cold War Black Ops lab. The engineers might have wired experimental parabolic microphones, neuroacoustic tech for interrogation, intending to extract secrets. Over decades, the system decayed into a hungry echo machine, digesting any mind that entered. Plausible. At the far end of the catwalk, rotating yellow beacons flashed, antiquated hazard lights clicking. Between flashes, Marisol saw a turnstile like those in subway stations, but heavier. Above it, stained glass formed a word. Admittance. We reach that. There's likely an emergency staircase, she said. They edged along the catwalk. Voices spat. Step wrong, she pushes. Voices spat back. She will write your obituary, then plagiarize your dreams. Midway, Wynn froze. Someone's ahead, she said. Indeed, a silhouette grasped the turnstile, jerky, half-collapsed. Wynn advanced. Marisol grabbed her collar. Wait, observe pattern first. Light flashed, shadow twisted awkwardly, then reset. Another flash. Same movement. It's a projection, Marisol realized. Looped footage of a dying explorer, maybe for psychological warfare. But Wynn's empathy overrode theory. She lunged, reaching. Without anchor, she slipped. A shoe skidded off catwalk edge. Marisol snatched her backpack strap. Momentum wrenched her forward. Both teetered. Water swirled below, whispers hissing. Wynn dropped one camera which splashed into canal, extinguished. Marisol hauled Wynn back, muscles burning. "Anchor," she barked. "Describe first pet." Gerbil called orbit, black stripe on nose. Wynn gasped. "Good, keep it." They crawled remainder on all fours. The turnstile projection flickered off as they approached, as if satisfied. Beyond, an iron door marked Exit S. Locked. Marisol examined mechanism. Old brass-warded keyhole, but the strike plate screws were half corroded. She borrowed Wynn's tripod, rigged it as lever, pried the strike free. Door swung. A staircase corkscrewed upward. On the third landing rested an open notebook soaked with water, ink bleeding. Marisol read fragments. "These voices are not ghosts. They are us. Dislocated. Turn off what reflects." She pocketed a page. At landing 5, pipes burst through wall, venting steam. The steam clouds formed words in negative space. "You are almost home. Don't you hate home?" Wynn coughed. "I keep thinking about drowning the cameras so no one ever sees." She trailed. Marisol couldn't blame her. The maze courted erasure. She willed herself to remain documentarian even if it hurt. Evidence mattered. The staircase ended at a junction with 3 doors. A painted green, B painted blue, C unpainted steel, etched under C, Finis. Pattern. They'd seen Finis on the map margin. That meant loops out to the surface, or conclusion of whoever reached it last. Marisol felt fatigue spiderweb across her brain. Wynn gestured at B. "Blue like water, we survived." "Maybe too symbolic," Marisol countered. She pressed ear to green door, heard distant traffic, maybe surface. To blue, heard nothing. To steel, heard respiration matching her own. She used a criminologist's probability tree. Choose wrong, they lose minutes, risk exhaustion. Choose right, potential escape. Data favored door A. She turned knob. Sunlight. Actual sunlight knifed through the opening, almost blinding. She glimpsed a drainage culvert leading to an overgrown city lot. And outside, ambulance sirens Dopplered real and messy. Hope vertigoed. But there was one more obstacle. A wire mesh gate chained shut 6 feet ahead. The key ring hung on a hook just beyond the chain's reach. There had to be trick. The voices attacked with renewed venom. "You think rescue means healed? Out there you'll always replay us. Infection permanent." "Go back. Finish the sentence," Wynn moaned. "Marisol, I still hear them, even with sunlight." "We leave anyway," Marisol insisted. She extended the tripod past the chain, hooked the key ring. On the second try, key slipped into her hand. Click. Gate opened. They stepped into daylight. Instantly all sound dropped out. No traffic, no birds, only a vacuum. Wynn pivoted, confused. Behind them, the culvert portal had vanished, replaced by solid retaining wall. The lot around held derelict cars half swallowed by vines. It felt decades abandoned. A single noise edged in. A familiar applause. Close. From behind, a rusted sedan emerged Harker, eyes hollow, palms smacking together. But his motions repeated on a fixed loop, like the turnstile ghost. Not living. Projected or exported shell. Wynn trembled. "We didn't escape. The maze exported with us." Marisol's phone buzzed. No service, but a file auto-opened. GPS path overlay of where they'd walked, drawn in arterial red. It ended with Finis at their feet. Beneath the map, text scrolled, "The maze concludes when observed. You are the exhibit now." The applause doubled, tripled. Spectral audience. Wynn screamed, smashing her remaining camera against asphalt until lens shattered. Marisol's criminologist mind finally cracked pattern like brittle glass. The labyrinth did not merely record explorers, it bred metastasis. New submazes replicating wherever carriers emerged, ensuring infinite expansion through infected cognition. By mapping it, she had become Vector. She considered choices: try to warn the world and accelerate spread, or bury evidence by isolating herself. Locard's principle again. Every contact leaves a trace. She was already Trace. She walked to Wynne, gently took her hands away from the broken shards. "Anchor," she said, voice flat but steady. "Tell me orbit stripe again." Wynne sobbed. "Black up the nose." "Good. We may still chart safety zones, wide spaces, sunlight, other people. If the maze feeds on isolation and memory, maybe populous areas dilute it." Marisol wasn't sure she believed her own hypothesis. But patterns adapt. So could they. She pictured writing a thesis not on crime scenes, but on cognitive contagions disguised as architecture. First, survive long enough to compile data. Second, decide whether to share or cauterize. Somewhere near, unseen, the voices whispered new variables, shaping her future regrets. For the moment, she listened only to Wynne's breathing. As they walked toward city streets, suddenly alien, counting footfalls like beads on the only rosary they had left.